dead zoo. I've said it before, everything's dead. And some things are more dead than others. So the things that we have in the paleontology collection, things like the Megalosaurus behind me, they are very dead indeed. You go so far as to say they're dead as a dodo, and we do have a dodo in the collection, which was a specimen which was prepared by Gerard and Sons, the taxidermy company in London. And it's been prepared by taking bones from a paleontological site in Mauritius, which is where the dodo used to live. Because there weren't really many dodos collected. There's only one in Oxford, which we know about, which was collected and has survived till today. And the problem with the dodo is that the island it lived on, Mauritius, was basically kind of stopped at by sailors. They dropped off things like goats and pigs and rats escaped from the ships. And they damaged the habitat, they destroyed the eggs of the dodo, and there was a little bit of hunting for the meat of the dodo. And all of these factors kind of came together to basically wipe them out, because they nested on the ground and they had no way of escaping from all these new predators, or all these new habitat destroyers. And that sort of thing has happened many, many times in human history. So things like the Rodriguez solitaire, you have the same sort of story. And it's another island, very, very similar to the dodo story, another large bird that nests on the ground. But there are other things other than just birds which are nesting and getting destroyed by invasive species. You also have active hunting, so things like the Auckland merganser. We only ever knew of 6 specimens, and they were all basically shot at the same time. We have one here, the only taxidermy specimen of that particular species in the world that we know of, and the other ones are preserved in alcohol in other collections in London. And so that one group, they were all shot at the same time by people, and they thought they might see them again when they came back, and they were gone. And that's how species go extinct. You don't necessarily realise they're on the brink until suddenly they've been pushed over the edge. These days we've got a much better idea of why things go extinct, and we can start to do things to try to prevent that. But historically it's something we actually saw as a positive thing to some extent. So things like the Tasmanian wolf, or the Thylacine, was actively hunted to extinction. It was actively, there were bounties put on its head because people wanted to clear it out of Tasmania, where the farmers saw it as a threat to their livestock. And there was an active hunting program. The last Thylacine died in 1936 in Hobart Zoo, and it really, really changed the way in which we perceive extinction to some extent, because it's such an important species where we were directly responsible for it disappearing, and we have a really good understanding of how and why it happened. And since then, our perspective on the world has changed. We've realised that we have to be more proactive about protecting the things that we share the planet with, which is one of the really important things that we have museums for, is to try to feed into that process. So you might have seen the previous video talking about endangered species. But it's also about keeping representatives of those extinct species so we remember what we've lost, and to make sure that we can avoid ever having that happen again.